Calling the Audit Committee meeting to order. I call this Audit Committee meeting of the Conroe Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The time is 7:33. Item 1 is citizen participation. In accordance with Board Policy BED, those who have registered prior to the meeting will be allowed to address the committee on items posted on this agenda. Do we have anyone signed up?
We do not.
Okay. Item 2, consider and approve minutes from the May 8th, 2024 Audit Committee meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. All those in favor? All those opposed? Great. Motion passes. Item 3, receive investment review and results update.
All right, Mrs. Garza.
All right, well, good morning, Chairman Chase, members of the committee, and Dr. Knoll. It is my pleasure to be here this morning to present our annual investment report to you. We have included a comprehensive investment report in your packet for today's meeting in a little different format than you're used to seeing, so hopefully you found that helpful. This is a requirement that due to board policy CDA, we are required to share this information with you annually, so it's my pleasure to be here this morning. I'm going to share some of the highlights that were in the report that was in your packet. We're going to look at our investment strategy. We're going to look at our general fund portfolio composition for both revenue and how the portfolio is comprised through August 20th and August 2024. And then we're going to look at our current combined portfolio, which would include all funds, not just the general fund. It would include our capital projects fund, our debt service fund, child nutrition, and so forth. And then we'll look at some benchmark analysis. So our investment strategy remains unchanged. While somewhat simple in nature, this strategy has proven to be very successful for the district for many years. Of course, our primary focus is on the safety of the principal of which we are investing. We are investing our current operating funds in the state investment pools with Wood Forest National Bank, in commercial paper and short-term government securities with a maturity of 1 year or less. We have also carved out $50 million of our general fund unassigned fund balance that is being managed by TCG Investment Advisors to create a 36-month investment ladder. All indications have shown that when the Federal Reserve meets next Wednesday, they will begin the rate cutting process anywhere from 25 to 50 basis points, with projections putting the Fed fund rate at around 3% by the end of 2025. So this is where we're really going to see the benefit of this 36-month investment ladder, as we've locked in these higher yielding investments for longer periods of time, and those yields will continue to pay even though the market is trending downward. So this is our general fund composition over the last 5 years. I'm going to kind of walk through the bar on the far right by color to kind of share with you where our investments were in the general fund at 8/31/24. In the gray is our agencies at $32.3 million. The yellow is our money market account with Wood Forest National Bank at just over $80 million. The light blue is our municipal bonds at $1 million. And then the state pools is the green at $49.2 million. And then Treasury Securities is the navy blue at the top at $19.1 million. This is our general fund interest revenue for the last 5 years, ended 2024 at $12.7 million. We do anticipate this to start moving in the other direction as interest rates start to fall. And then this is our combined portfolio at 8/31. Like I said, this is all funds combined, capital projects as well as the general fund and all of our debt service funds. In the green, the largest portion is the state pools at $706.3 million. Again, municipal bonds $1 million. Money market $80.6 million. Agencies at $32.4 million. And then our Treasury securities at $19.1 million for a total combined portfolio at 8/31/24 of $839.4 million. Weighted average maturity of the entire portfolio is 33 days, and it's yielding 5.37%. And then our benchmark, the 90-day T-bill, is at 4.965. This is our benchmark analysis. That 90-day T-bill is what we use as our benchmark over the last 5 years, and the green line represents our combined portfolio at each year end for the last 5 years. So we have surpassed the benchmark since pre-pandemic at 5.37 compared to 4.965. And that's our update.
Do we think that I know we're going to lose investment income because of the interest rate falling, but are they going to fall at a fast enough rate that our next bond sale should see a positive interest
Yes,
rate impact?
I mean, it is moving in the direction where we should see benefits in terms of the borrowing rate that we're going to see in the next sale.
And our next sale is our biggest sale of this?
It's 600 million, so yes.
Okay.
Just slightly bigger than the first one. The first one was 595, so.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Garza.
Mhm.
Ms. Garza, I do have one question. Can you go
Sure.
back to the bar graph? I think
Sure.
it was like slide 3 maybe. That one. So when you were discussing the amounts, were you talking about 2024?
Yes.
Okay. And so the green is Wood Forest at 80 million?
The green is our state pools. The yellow is Wood Forest.
Yellow. Thank
Yes.
you. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And is it safe to assume as interest rates go down, our bar will begin to revert more like it looked in 2020, 2021? Like, does it look this way based on interest rates typically? As rates go down, do we usually have more money go into the state pools, or is that just a...
No, it will look similar to this. The reason that you're seeing that large yellow portion in 23 and 24 is the account that Wood Forest has offered us,
You
the
gave us
90-day
that.
T-pill
Mhm.
plus 25 basis points. So that is a really attractive rate. We will continue to take advantage of that. So we'll allocate our resources appropriately to take advantage of that rate.
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Garza.
Mhm.
All right, next item, consider and approve the Conroe ISD investment policy.
All right, so we are asking the committee to recommend approval of our investment policy to the full board. We will be taking this item along with the other 3 required items to the full board at next Tuesday's meeting. Along with the actual improving of the investment policy, we're going to be asking them to approve our sources of instruction, our list of qualified brokers, and then our designated investment officers for the district. These are the standard 4 items that we bring to the board every year for the investment program. So we're asking you today to approve the investment program to the full board, just to recommend approval.
No changes from last year?
No changes from last year.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Great, motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, item 5, receive the status of the 2023-2024 and 2024-2025 internal audit plans. Brian?
I know it's a mouthful, right?
Yes.
Chairman Chase, members of the Audit Committee, Dr. Knoll, and guests, good morning. A new school
morning.
year.
Yeah.
Hard to believe. The 23-24 audit plan is officially complete. All the activity funds are complete. Any questions on those? Just some updates from the 23-24. So we had field trips that we completed in February, and one of the main findings was that the billing took forever, right? Even though it's all internal, so it wasn't costing us anything, but it's very inefficient. So Mark Morell's here if you have any questions. They've added a component to Bus Hive, which is the app that the drivers use. And so they'll be able to get billing done within 2 weeks now. So it's nice to see the follow-up, you know, on findings that quickly to get that taken care of.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do y'all have any questions for Mark on that?
I'd just like to highlight, like, this is an example, and I think you're going to hit on the band instrument as well, but
Yeah.
you know, we have now multiple examples over the last 3 or 4 years of departments that because we've shifted our internal audit focus, we've audited that never really have been, and we've made significant changes and improvements because of that. This is one,
Exactly.
and the fine arts one is over the top great.
Yeah, and this is
so-
one we talked about for 2 years
Right.
before we did the audit, and
Yeah, we appreciate you, Brian. It's great.
thank you.
Absolutely.
And this one, I understand that most people would be surprised to hear this, but auditors have hearts. We really do, and this warms mine.
Don't tell anyone.
When we first did this back in '21, we had 153 instruments missing worth $450,000. We're down to 2. And that is because of the hard work of Dr. Horton and the band leaders and all the people that were involved in helping with the inventories. It goes to show that if you put controls in place, you follow a process, you can have success. So yeah, this is one of my proudest moments to be able to say, hey, we only had 2.
Yeah.
That's just, we have like 1,000 plus, I think it's 2,000 actually, instruments out there. So
Yeah,
that's an amazing testament to Dr. Horton and his team.
absolutely.
And then we'll be doing junior high and intermediate October, November. I may move that up to October, depending on Dr. Horton's schedule. The Bartlett Intermediate Construction Audit, again, no findings. Easy and his team just do an amazing job. I'm going to say right here that I look for things, again, because I sort of had a heart, but I still like to find things, and Easy's made that pretty much impossible for me. So, your money from the bonds all is well spent and well watched after and well controlled. Print shop. So we had one recommendation, and I went to watch them they do an annual inventory of all the paper and all that. And bless their hearts, there was 2 of them. And so they would count, stop, fill out a sheet, stop, fill out a sticker, put it on the paper, and then maybe stop, take the paper over and get it wrapped up. And it was almost painful to watch. I mean, it was just, and I know that they were trying to save overtime because they do it on a Saturday, but it's once a year. And plus the segregation of duties. You just have 2 people completely separate doing inventory. There's no checks or balances in it. So our recommendation was to have 2 sets of 2 people counting, and then the print shop manager and her assistant, they can do the wrap, be there to wrap and to answer questions and to make sure that the counts are being done correctly. So it's an efficiency and it's a segregation of duties issue. But, and then the other observation we had, just to save time, they combine a lot of orders that are done online. And this is more just to make my job easier. It makes it harder to audit if they're not separated. So we had to go back and try to figure out what was together and what wasn't. So, and that's an easy fix for them. Any questions on the print shop? Okay. The 24-25 audit plan. We're really hitting the elementaries this year. It's just something that we focus so much on the high schools and the intermediates. It's time to kind of go back to some of these places that haven't been audited in a while.
So, Mr. Hayden, when was the last time that we did audits for the elementary level?
Well, we do some every year, but we mostly focus on the high school intermediate, so maybe we do 2 or 3 elementaries a year. So yeah, I mean, some of these may be 5,
Yeah.
6 years since.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
we
just curious. Thank
we,
you.
Yeah, we've had our practice has been when a principal or secretary
Yeah.
changes.
We've
Yeah.
had a
So
lot of
one of the
that.
things that we really popped up last year was that realization that we have places where the principal or secretary hasn't left in a long time.
Yeah.
And it's making sure that those places haven't been, like, just looking on here, like David Elementary Principal's been there a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know when the last time David was audited was, but those are examples. No, not at all, not at all. But that's the thing, is there are places that are running great, but we just don't circle back. And
Yeah,
part of it is based, I guess you may know off the top of your head the numbers, but I'm guessing like in a high school, the activity fund balance is going to be well over $1 million,
Well,
probably approaching 2 or over 2 at some of our high schools. And in an elementary, it's going to be more 100 grand probably,
Maybe, yeah.
if it's even that. So it's scale, right?
Exactly.
And when we did more, when this is kind of all we used to do, truthfully. Like it was, internal audit used to do activity fund audits, and that was the primary focus of internal audit. So we have reduced the number of campuses that we study now to be able to study things like transportation and payroll and the bigger areas. So
You're saying all of these elementaries will have around 100,000 in their activity fund, no more?
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody knows the exact
I would
number,
think it would
but
be more.
because it's not PTO funds, that's
Yeah,
separate. That's
it's
their,
totally separate.
Yeah, it's separate. That's
But
separate
on
money.
average, 100,000.
Right.
I would guess. Yeah. I don't even. I mean, I'm purely guessing
Yeah, I think 100 is probably
on the
on
high
the
end.
high range.
Yes.
Yeah, for the elementaries.
Some is like the more economically disadvantaged
Yeah.
are gonna have much less.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a good time to kind of, it's like Dr. Neal said, circle back to some of these places we haven't been for a while and just make sure. And it's always good just to let people know, hey, there's people watching, right? And, you know, just helps keep them focused on following procedures and controls.
Yeah, I think this is a great approach. I think it's a data-led decision based on observations and findings from the previous year's activity fund audit. So, interested to see what you find.
We are currently in the process of doing the procurement audit. And so again, we're just making sure, there's a lot of rules and regulations and policies around procurement. So we're just making sure that those are all being followed, that, the controls are in place and operating effectively, and all the bids, all the advertising, all those things that go into procurement are operating effectively. So we're kind of in the last few weeks of that audit. And then for the rest of the 24-25, again, we're going to do junior high, intermediate, band and inventory, transportation, and see just general controls. Parts inventory is a big one for this. Asset security is a big one for this because got all those buses sitting overnight, and you just want to make sure that that's all secure. Then after the first of the year, we'll do the HR hiring and retention, and we will have Weaver helping with that. They're going to give us a partner that's what they do is HR retention and things like that. So we'll have that subject matter expert to help with that. And then the other big one that we're going to do is the app security and control. So I was talking to Dr. Lambert, and we'll probably just, pick a sample of the biggest apps. We can't do them all. There are just too many of them. So we're just going to look at what kind of controls are over those apps when we first install them on an ongoing basis. Are they, hosted by a third party or by us? So, and that, again, that'll be a Weaver-led.
Is the plan to exercise audit rights too, or
Yes.
no? Okay,
Yes.
all right.
How
And
many-
then how will the how will the sampling work? How will the sampling work? Is it really just the number of users, or do we look at more high impact or business critical type apps?
I think it'll be both.
Okay.
You know, so we may have one that doesn't have a, like e-finance, that's obviously, you know. So there may be one like doesn't have a lot of people, has a huge impact though, and then there may be ones that have a ton of people that have more security issues. So I'll work with Weaver and we'll kind of determine what that sample will look like. But
Okay.
yeah, well, go ahead.
And in the scope, and maybe it's within this, but could you also make sure and include something about the management of the application, if it's a third party, like our internal kind of management of that the third party is complying with what we would expect.
Right.
As, like
I think as
reviewing
we-
SOC 2 reports, this is what I'm looking for. Okay,
I was just gonna say, yeah, we'll definitely be getting the SOC reports.
okay,
And that will be, I know that'll be a big focus is.
yeah. But that needs to be done not just when we audit, right? That needs to be done on an annual basis. Someone should be pulling the SOC 2 reports from our vendors, following up on deficiencies if there's
Right.
deficiencies.
And I'm
So
sure
I
that'll-
would like to see evidence of that. Yeah,
That's one of the main questions we'll be asking in the audit.
fantastic.
So, of all the, you say the sample, of all the technology applications that we use, what numbers are we looking at as far as total versus how many will you audit?
I'm guessing that there's like 150 to 200 apps out there, so it would probably be 25, maybe of the big ones.
You're right, okay.
It
That's
just
a
kind of
lot.
depends on what the exact number is. And again, you know, I'll work with Weaver and we'll come up with the best plan for how we're going to pick the samples. But I'm guessing it is going to be economic impact, number of users. We definitely want a good mix of third-party hosted, you know, so.
Yeah, I think you need
Yeah.
both because
Yes,
they
you
have
need both.
different risk profiles. Like a homegrown app, something
Right.
developed in-house, has a different risk profile than a third-party one.
Right,
But they both have very valid risk that need to
Exactly.
be managed differently.
yeah, so there'll definitely be that, a mix of the two.
Did we do this last year? Was this done?
No,
No.
last year was the risk assessment for just overall IT.
Right, okay. So this will be new,
This will be new.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that one? The IT one's always the big one.
Do y'all feel like, and maybe you don't know that, but do y'all feel like you have a good idea of all the apps in use across the district? Is it possible that campuses are using things that,
It could be. I mean, I can't sit there and say I know every single app that's
Right.
out there that's
Okay.
being used.
Dr. Lambert attempts to have a master
Yeah.
list, and we can
Yeah.
certainly, the things that have gone through the proper channels, we know.
sure,
Would I guess that there are things out there
Yeah.
that we don't know? I would guess that there are.
okay.
We have tried to really tighten that up
Mm-hmm.
recently because it was a little bit of the wild, wild west
Mm-hmm.
previously, but I'm sure that there are still some things that exist. That'd be naive to think there weren't, I think.
And that's probably a great audit question, right? What are the
Yes.
controls around making sure
Yes,
that
exactly.
there aren't these rogue
Exactly.
apps out there?
And I know, and you'll see it, I'm sure, in the process, but we have created systems for those that the schools would purchase, right? So like, where they have to go through our process, make sure that they're following all the privacy rules, you know,
Yeah.
we have that structure in place. So things that like a campus has gone all in on. Now, is there something that somebody's paying for privately or what?
Like,
that'd
like
be
the PTO purchase?
correct. There could be a
or-
different, more of a challenge. So that's,
Yeah,
I know we've tightened up on the official side.
right.
So, Dr. Noel, on the official side, when a campus does adopt a certain application that they're going to use, say for example, Class Doho and the Remind
Uh-huh.
app, do they as a campus require only one be used across the board, or is that at the discretion of the
Well, it depends
educator?
on the situation. So let's let's take like an elementary math program, right? Dreambox. It's a program that we use.
Yeah.
Familiar with that?
Right, yeah, you know that. So if a campus wants to use an instructional app, they're going to ask for permission to use that, right?
Does that come
And
through the
it's going to come.
district?
It's going to come here, and it's got to go through two different layers of permission. One is on the instruction side, right? First of all, it's going to be looked at by teaching and learning and the assistant sup to see, does it meet our curriculum? Is it properly vetted? Is it something that we approve the use of? Meeting all of our standards instructionally. Then it will go to the technology side for its vetting on the technology side to make sure that, does it have the proper safety? Does it have, are they signing the compliance? And I don't remember, Ms. Gladys will know the name of the compliance that they have to follow for our. Yeah. Right. So they have, all that gets vetted too. Then they get those approvals. Then they would be allowed to buy it.
Okay.
What we typically will see, especially on instructional things, we may see something that maybe one campus goes in on first. They see great success. Everybody goes to watch it. Then we start to see like, okay, this is something that many other campuses may want to be a part of. And then sometimes we even reach a point where it could be something that we buy as a district.
Right, but I'm asking more on the communication side, the apps that are used to communicate directly with parents
Oh,
outside of the
communication.
campus.
So
Do we limit that to a certain number? So say you have a campus, even campus to campus, you have a different app being used for communication with parents at one campus versus a separate application or app being used at an elementary campus. Do we try to limit the
we
number
have
of
tried,
those?
yes. So once again, and Sarah can really speak to this a little bit because this has been another area that we've been, we were all over the place.
Right.
Especially as you get kids into high school and things. So we've tried to, you want to talk a little bit about, like Sarah's done a lot of work in this area.
So over the past few years, we have been examining this phenomena of all the different apps and communication tools. And so we've been researching solutions that would help condense some of that communication to the extent practicable. We understand that there are certain communication apps that extracurricular activities might use that have special features in them, like Rank 1 and different things like that. But as far as elementary communication, we've examined Remind 101 as an option. It's become less popular because of the way they've restructured things. And so most recently we've been examining with our current mass communication system, a communication app between like the classroom teacher and the family, and it would be something that we would manage through the communications department. We are actually preparing an RFP to go out this month to look for additional communication solutions that could perhaps, bring things more in line so that it's easier for families to keep up with, more efficient for teachers. It's something we're able to have our documentation, our record of communication like we're legally required to do. So it's definitely a process that we're in the middle of.
I look forward to seeing that. No, that's definitely an area of interest, so thank you for that.
It's a challenge too, and we've tried a couple of different things, but the reality is, if it's not user-friendly and convenient for the teachers, they won't use it. And I don't blame them. They're so busy. They're
And the
doing
parents,
a million things, right?
Yeah.
So some of these solutions that we find, we look at and you're like, oh, this would be great because it documents, it does this, it does that, all the things. But on the teacher side, it's cumbersome. And they won't use
imagine,
it. They're going to go to the mechanism that works best for them. Some may use Canvas. There's different mechanisms. But like Sarah said, we've been working. The RFP will go out this month to see what's out there.
Yeah, my main concern is just condensing, like you said,
Oh, yeah, there's a
Sarah,
lot.
so that the parents can see, okay, this is what the child is doing, these are the communications coming from the school.
Yep,
So it helps the teacher and the parent.
absolutely.
Well, and I will say, whatever we use, if it's going out to the greater community, that it's identifiable as to which child we're talking about. Because we have parents with multiple
Always
children
a
at
child, yes.
multiple
School.
campuses.
Yes.
And
School, yeah.
which one was this for?
Yeah, and from which teacher even.
Exactly,
You might even
yeah.
figure out the kid, but you don't know which teacher.
Exactly.
Like if it's generic in nature, agreed, yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I received that exact feedback from a parent the other day while I was on campus. especially at the beginning of the year. She's receiving emails from teachers, and she doesn't quite know yet who's the teacher for which child. And her request was if we could somehow indicate the school already in the subject, that would be a huge help for her. But back to this audit topic. One thing, if y'all can consider, you and Weaver can consider in your sampling, is not just from the active apps, but think about picking up one that has been, that is inactive now. It has been replaced or something, to make sure, to look at the risk that it's not decommissioned properly, especially if it's a third party. Are we still sharing information even though we don't use them anymore?
Make sure they still don't have
So,
access.
so please consider scoping in one of those. Yeah, thank you.
This sounds like, I mean, this audit's coming up at a perfect time. There's a lot of questions around it, so hopefully we can get all those answered during
Okay.
this. But
Great.
this is the big IT audit for the year. And that's one of the things that's really, I think, been important in internal audit in the last few years is doing these IT audits.
Absolutely.
Because we'd never done them before, and Weaver does a great job.
Yeah.
They have really good IT people.
No, this is a
Yeah.
great audit topic. I think I fully support this.
Yeah.
The amount of data that a school district has
Yeah.
is just insane. And golden nuggets is
Right.
what it would be called, right?
Yeah.
In the cyber world, really important data.
Yeah. Any other questions on that audit? All right. We'll do a Chromebook inventory, Q2, construction audit in the summer, and that's it. Be busy.
One question on the band instruments. I mean, first of all, like, so well done. Like, something to be proud of. Everyone involved. Just the improvement, phenomenal. What do you think, in your opinion, was the most impactful action that was taken to see those kind of results?
That Dr. Horton put responsibility on the principals to make sure that the inventories, when we didn't come out, because we do it every other year, to make sure that inventory is done yearly.
Okay.
And they have to sign off. And so that makes everybody responsible, band leader to the principal, and it's worked.
So really, like, transparently assigning ownership to this
Exactly.
in the campus level.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we've got a
Thank you.
clear-cut process that Dr. Horton put together and implemented, and it's working.
Great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Last item, discuss committee meeting dates for the 2024-2025 school year. January 15th, 2025 and May 7th, 2025.
That's right, have fun with that.
Miss Wagon will be sleeping in those days, and
I'll be sleeping in my jammies, and my coffee. Wishing you all well.
All right.
it looks good.
All right. A motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you,
We are
everybody.
adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.